The moment my best friend's mother looked at me and said, "Oh, you're the one she never stops talking about," my best friend turned bright red. Not a little embarrassed. Not slightly uncomfortable. Her entire face changed color as she stared at the floor, suddenly unable to meet my eyes. And in that instant, I realized there was something she had been hiding from me for a very long time. Before we continue, if you believe that some friendships are meant to become something more, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who believes in second chances, leave a comment, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness. Your support helps us bring more emotional stories like this to people who need them. My name is Daniel, and for most of my life, I had believed that Maya and I were simply best friends. We met during our first year of college after I accidentally spilled coffee on her notebook. She had been furious for about 30 seconds, then laughed when she saw the panic on my face. From that day forward, we became inseparable. We studied together, worked part-time jobs together, celebrated birthdays together, and survived the kind of heartbreaks that make you question whether life will ever feel normal again. Maya was the person I called whenever something went wrong. When my father passed away, she sat beside me through the entire night without asking me to explain why I couldn't stop crying. When she lost her job a year later, I helped her search for another one. We had always been there for each other, and somewhere along the way, our friendship became the safest place either of us had. But there was one thing I never told her. I loved her. Not the simple kind of love people sometimes confuse with friendship. I loved the way she smiled when she was trying not to laugh. I loved how she remembered tiny details everyone else forgot. I loved how she always checked whether other people had eaten before worrying about herself. And most of all, I loved the way she made ordinary moments feel important. I wanted to tell her countless times, but fear always stopped me. I was terrified that one confession would destroy everything we had. Then, one rainy Saturday afternoon, Maya invited me to her house for dinner. Her mother had been recovering from a difficult year, and Maya said she wanted me to meet her properly because I had never spent much time with her family. When we arrived, her mother, Linda, opened the door with a warm smile. She hugged Maya first, then looked at me. She froze. Her eyes widened, and then she smiled in a way that made Maya immediately suspicious. Linda looked at me and said those words that changed everything, "Oh, you're the one she never stops talking about." Maya turned bright red. "Mom," she whispered, looking horrified. Linda laughed and waved us inside, but I couldn't stop thinking about what she had said. The entire dinner felt different after that. Maya barely looked at me. Her mother kept smiling whenever she caught us sitting beside each other. She asked me questions about my work, my family, and my plans for the future. But underneath every question was something else, something I couldn't quite understand. After dinner, Maya disappeared into the kitchen to help her mother with the dishes. I stayed in the living room, staring at old family photographs on the wall. Then Linda quietly sat beside me. She told me Maya had mentioned me for years. She told me that whenever something good happened, I was the first person Maya wanted to tell. Whenever something bad happened, she said my name before anyone else's. Linda said she had noticed something long before Maya ever admitted it to herself. She cares about you more than she knows how to explain, Linda told me. My heart began pounding. I asked her what Maya had said about me. Linda smiled sadly and said that Maya was afraid. Afraid of losing me. That sentence hit me harder than anything else. Because suddenly, everything made sense. The canceled dates Maya had made excuses for. The strange silence whenever someone joked that we looked like a couple. The way she became unusually quiet whenever I mentioned another woman. The birthday gift she had given me 3 years earlier, a watch she had saved for months to buy, even though she had insisted it was nothing special. She had been hiding her feelings for the same reason I had hidden mine. We were both terrified of losing the friendship that had already become the most important relationship in our lives. But the story didn't become easy after that. Maya overheard part of our conversation. When she returned to the living room, she looked at her mother, then at me. Her eyes filled with tears. She thought I had asked her mother about her feelings because I wanted to expose her. She grabbed her coat and rushed outside. I followed her into the rain. She finally stopped beneath a streetlight, trembling as rain soaked her hair. She told me she was embarrassed. She told me she had spent years trying to convince herself that what she felt was only friendship. She said she couldn't bear the thought of confessing and watching me walk away. And then she said something I will never forget. She told me that when her mother said I was the one she never stopped talking about, she turned red because it was true. I stood there in the rain, realizing how much time we had wasted being afraid. I told Maya the truth. I told her that I had loved her for years. She stared at me as if she couldn't believe what she was hearing. Then she cried. Not because she was hurt. Because she was relieved. We didn't kiss immediately. We didn't suddenly become a perfect couple. Instead, we stood there talking for nearly an hour about all the things we had been too scared to say. We talked about our fears, our mistakes, our expectations, and the possibility that becoming something more could change everything. But eventually Maya reached for my hand. And that was enough. When we walked back inside, Linda looked at our joined hands and smiled through tears. She didn't say a word. She simply hugged her daughter, then hugged me. Months later, Maya and I were still learning how to be more than best friends. Some days were awkward. Some days were wonderful. But every day felt honest. The greatest lesson I learned was that sometimes the person you've been searching for isn't someone new. Sometimes they're the person who has been standing beside you all along, quietly loving you while you are both too afraid to admit it. We had spent years protecting our friendship from love, only to discover that love had been protecting our friendship all along. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who needs a little hope, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness. Sometimes one small action helps these stories reach someone who needs to hear them. And before you go, comment, I believe in second chances, if you believe that the right person can sometimes be closer than we ever realize. Because sometimes love doesn't arrive with a dramatic entrance. Sometimes it sits beside you for years, laughs with you, cries with you, remembers your favorite things, and waits patiently for the day you're finally brave enough to see it. And sometimes, all it takes is one mother saying the words you've both been too afraid to say. You're the one she never stops talking about.